nyasha dzamwari, but wakaipa anogona kutanga kukuredza, kukuraura sefishi, kukutrai, kukudzosera futi kuti utange futi kurarama life iyoyo yauri kuti ndaandasiya. I just pray for everyone that God will help us to get to Canaan, all of us. Yeah, all of us. Okay, we are doing the book of Isaiah. We are doing the book of Isaiah chapter 7. Isaiah chapter 7, that's where we are. Who still remembers what did we talk about last week in Isaiah chapter 7? We did maybe 5 or 6 verses. Who still remembers what we talked about? Anyone would like to say something about last week's Bible study? Thank you, man of God.
Oh yes, thank you so much. Yeah, we learnt about that Isaiah was given instruction to go out with his son. So those are the two instructions. Take your son with you, and you also go out and meet the king. And he was given instructions where he would meet the king. So that's kind of where we started. And we were introduced to the king. He was King Ahaz. And we were given a little background about his father, son of Uzziah, king of Judah. Yeah, so that's kind of where we were. I don't remember beyond that if we...
Thank you, Baba.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Anyone would like to, who feels there's something that is to add something? Yes?
Amen. Yeah, maybe the key takeaway that I understood is that God knows about every planned attack on you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone who wants to, whose take home is not yet mentioned? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it started by the planned attack on Judah that Israel was planning together with... Israel is the brother of Judah, but Israel is planning with Syria to attack Judah. And we see Judah, the king, his people, they are filled with fear. And we were saying, when a problem comes your way, fight against fear. Don't allow fear to take over. Because the moment you concentrate on the problem, fear comes. So these guys, their hearts were blown by fear because they were looking at how big Israel is and how Syria also joining. So we were saying, when a problem comes, we tend to look at the problem rather than maybe looking at the one who solves the problem. So if you have a problem, suddenly you face a problem, the first thing is look at God, the helper. Concentrate on the helper than to concentrate more on the problem. Because the more you look at the problem, the bigger it becomes. Makambozona. Ka problem kadikidika ukazonyatsoka wongorora, so uchinyatsokavhura, uchinyatsopinda mapeji ako, uchinyatsotarisa line by line, kanobva kaita so huge, and fear becomes worse. Whereas when the problem comes, the first port of call is God. Telling God, Lord, this is the problem that I have. Help me. So that was we saw the planned attack on Judah and the fear that the people had. Or the people trembled with fear. Then we saw Isaiah being sent out with the son, yakaitaurwa naBaba. God sending Isaiah and his son to meet the king somewhere else. And God could pinpoint to say, you are going to meet him at such a place, which means Isaiah is not going to the king's home. Isaiah is just going to, Isaiah knows by the time I get to that place, the person, the king will be there. So Isaiah is going to meet, right? So God is in control. God is in control of everything. God knows your steps before you do them. He knows what you want to pray for before you pray. He knows your problem before the problem comes to you. When you are still happy and the problem is coming in the next 6 months, God knows your problem already. So God is the first port of call in everything. Right? We also we saw God also assuring King Ahaz, verse 4, to stop worrying. So God was telling King Ahaz, stop worrying about these two. They are burned out embers. Maracha asina moto. Maracha asina moto. Description, the way God describes two powerful forces. They were powerful forces if you look at them coming to attack. But God is saying they are burned out embers. Embers. Apana moto. Actually, there's nothing to fear. So the best thing is to rely on God in everything. In everything. Then we also saw us doing something terrible, something wicked. Us sent messengers to King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria with this message. It's on slide 13. He says, I am your servant and your vassal. As after God tried to assure us not to fear. But as is not, King Ahaz is not going to God with his problem. King Ahaz is thinking of a powerful nation, Assyria, to say, that nation doing gatondibasira panapa. Trusting in men. What is a vassal? I am your servant and your vassal. Can someone check for me in the dictionary, vassal? I mean, the way King Ahaz is describing himself to Assyria, not to God. He is relying on men. And the way he describes himself, the way he presents himself to King of Assyria, he says, I am your servant. I am your vassal. Not vassal. Because, some of these descriptions, tofana kudzita, kutna mngari. God, I am your servant. God, I am your vassal. But King Ahaz is talking to Assyria to say, King of Assyria, I am your servant.
It can also refer to a person who is used for a particular purpose or has a specific quality.
A person who is upon a second meaning here, something to do with subordination, something who is someone who is a subordinate. To say I'm a subordinate, kana kuti somebody ari kuti inini ndiri servant yenyu.
A person regarding as having a mutual obligation to a lord or a monarch.
Mutual obligation to a lord or a monarch. Mm-hmm. So it's like Isaiah. What's happening here? Not Isaiah, as king. He is a king, but he is putting himself in a position. You could, I am your servant to Assyria. And he is lowering himself down to say, you are my king. You are my lord. That's what he's saying to another person. But there's God who is trying to say, don't fear. So I don't know what happens. Kana tabatwa ne fear. Tino, instead of thinking about God, we think about individuals. And we try to prove to the individuals that Ndimi Chete, you are our only problem solver. So come up and rescue me from the attack. So he wants rescue from Assyria. Then Ahaz took silver and gold from the temple of God and the palace treasure and sent it as a payment to the king of Assyria. You know, God is trying to say, no. God is trying to draw this king's attention to say, but this person is looking for another king somewhere else. And he is taking the silver and the gold from the temple and giving to that. What do you think? What does this mean to you? What does it mean? What this king did? Lack of trust in God. Lack of trust in God. There's no trust in God at all. Asikutomboona ukuru wa Mwari kana kuti kuna Mwari no. As far as he is concerned. Yes, Baba.
Yeah, thank you so much. I saw another definition of vessel. It says in a spiritual context, a human vessel refers to a person who is used by God, or a higher power to carry out a particular purpose or work. So in this case, he is chosen to use that man as a higher power, which is almost only shows if he's taking even the silver from the house of God to give to it's almost proves what he believes to be true.
Thank you so much. So his higher power is the king of Assyria. You can't even place the king of Assyria and God side by side. You can't. Because the king of Assyria is a human being. Right? You are welcome. Then on verse 5 and 6, we see clearly laid out human plans. Yes, the kings of Assyria and Israel are plotting against him, saying, we will attack Judah and capture it for ourselves. Then we will install the son of Tabeel as Judah's king. Some of the things that we lack in our belief in God and in our faith in God is to say when we want to do certain things, to clearly lay out our ideas to say, because I believe God and God has promised that this is a year of restoration. In my business, I'm going to do this and I will do this, I will do this. We tend to say, I'm going to increase my business. We look at it generally just from the sky to say I'm going to do this. But look at these guys. They are humans and they are planning against humans. They say, we will attack Judah. Saka, they've put a plan to say our way of going to Judah to take over is to attack, not to talk. So these guys, when you see them coming, they're not coming to talk. They have no time for talking. We are going to attack. And we will capture. You see how serious the plans were? They attack, then they capture. They are not only attacking, they are going to capture. We will capture for ourselves. Then we will install the son of Tabeel as Judah's king. Young men, come here. So these guys, my plans are so laid out. Vakatu plan of Dara Vakato Chaga, Achata replace Aningari king. Vakato Chaga, king, I know the king, Annie. I mean, this young Tabeel. So Tabeel was already there. You right, start preparing to be a king. You know the behavior of a king, and so thank you. So these guys, the way they did it, they are so precise. Th- They are not time wasting. They don't look at things just generally. No, no, no. They are so specific. So they really meant what they wanted to do. They really meant business. They really meant business. But still, God was going to stop them. Proverbs 21:30 says, no human wisdom or understanding or plan can stand against the Lord. So no matter how the enemy plans against you, if you believe in God and God is going to work by your side, there's no way the enemy can do anything. No way. No ways. Verse 7. But this is what the sovereign Lord says. This invasion will never happen. It will never take place. So, besides all those human plans clearly laid out and everything in place by two kings, not one king, two kings, still God says it will never. God just speaks once, it will never happen. And it will never happen. Proverbs 19:21 says, you can make many plans, but the Lord's purpose will prevail. You can make many plans. Just like what we see the king of Israel here and the king of Syria. They made their plans. They had the guy, so achazotonga. He's going to be the king. And we are going to attack. We are going to capture. We have already the king who is going to take over. So clearly laid out human plans. But God says it will never happen. So whatever plans whatever plans the enemy has against your family, against your children, against your business, or even against your health or what, it will not happen. It will not happen because God is in it. There's a question, yes?
What I'm looking at, what's interesting for me is that Ahaz was a king himself.
Yeah.
And he's making plans to do things and install someone else as king. So, and he was making himself a servant of another king. So I'm just thinking to say sometimes we have people, if you are a king, everyone is relying on you to take care of them. So all this time, people were believing in someone who didn't even believe in himself as a king. And he didn't even have confidence to say, when we capture, I will be king. No, he's even looking at someone else to be a king for mambo wake iye mambo. This is just something that's coming to me to say, sometimes we have leaders or people who are ruling over us, but they really don't know who they are. They don't even know the power that they have. A king has a power to decree. A king has power to rule, but sometimes we believe in people who are not even believing in themselves.
Praise the Lord. Thank you for the revelation. That's a powerful revelation. Because from the way it is unfolding, those people, they had no king. There was no king. There was no king. Because the king is looking to someone else. So, well, those are some of the things. Verse 8. In verse 8, God is trying to tell these people that the king of Damascus is a mere man. MERE. A mere man. Mwari vari kumisa pa size yake chaiye kuti size yake munhu is a mere man. Is not an extraordinary or a superhuman. He's just a mere man. So for Syria is no stronger than its capital, Damascus. And Damascus is no stronger than its king, Rezin. As for Israel, within 65 years, it will be crushed and completely destroyed. The prophetic message from God, in the 65 years to come, it will be crushed. And it happened like that. So you could see the power in God as a creator to have a timeline 65 years panozvarwa kamwana kacheche kakati zinge kutofamba nemudonzo pa 65 years vanga varipo vamwe vatopera kuenda asi God vachitoziva zvavo kuti in the next 65 years regardless of magenerations aripo whether uyapinda mwagopinda mwagodi mafamilies achienda but mwari vatoziva zvavo kuti in the next 65 years whether unenge uripo kana kuti sipo but mwari vatoziva in 65 years. So that's how powerful God is. That's how powerful he is. If an enemy plans against you, plans say an accident, usually enemies, they plant those problems maybe in the next 6 months to say you planning for your accident or something. But if you rely on God, God will know all that and make sure that it will not happen. Right. Verse 8. God is also saying King of Israel is also a mere man. Israel is no stronger than its capital, Samaria. Samaria is no stronger than its king, Pekah. Unless your faith is firm, I cannot make you stand firm. Unless your faith is firm. Unless your faith is firm. Unless your faith is firm. Your faith. Not someone's faith, your faith. So, when you face a problem, it's you and your faith. Apachadi faith ya Pastor Sundire kuti iwe kuzokubatsira apa. Pada faith yako. Your faith. Pastor Sundire can pray for you. Any other pastor can pray for you to help you. But yourself, you need faith. Yourself, you need faith. So faith is very key. Faith is very key on everyone's part. Whatever you are doing, there are times when we lack faith in certain things. I can give an example. I remember tiri kumisha pane time yokurima tumakore tukanaya utonzwa mudhara kuti tiri kusunga mombe handi tinorima. But there were some people in the same area who would not look at the clouds, but vanongokutarisai pamba penyu vanozati munorima. Vakaona makusunga mombe vakutotsvaka dzimombe dzavo vakutonosunga vakutonorima, which means they rely on another person. They don't have faith to look at the clouds to say the Bible says this, God says this, or even just normal faith. Clouds, this is the season. To know a season, kuti season yekunaya itakurima. Even kukanaya vakakutarisai vakaona musati matanga kusunga mombe kurima havarimi. They wait. The moment yamunongotanga kuti mombe dzenyu muchaona mangwana kuseni raini rese heke vachimhanya vachirima, because they are not relying on their faith to look and assess to say the clouds it's going to rain. They don't believe themselves, but they believe another person. Even muklas chaimo tiri kuchikoro kuno mumwe kuti matichwa mukapiwa test, the person does not believe in him or herself kuti agonyatsotarisa question paper yake ka achinyorawo ega ada kumboona kuti kuri kuitikei pa next apa ukanyora kuti 2 + 5 = 6 nemistake unonoka kuona mistake yako anenge atoona kuti 2 + = 6, then he was not ndaita mistake wokanzura iye akazodongore akaona wakanzura anoti okanzura. I mean, I'm trying to show you kuti you know what, it's kana ndikatadza kuva nefaith yetunhu twangu tudiki twa 1 + 2 = ko faith yamwari chaiyo ndingazegona here, because these things they start in small things. In small things, faith yokuti tengi rangu remota handina mari yefuel but tufuel turi moto ndosvika kuchechi. But dzimwe nambo kana ndisina faith yokugona kufunga ndega ndosvika kuchechi ndogona kutombotsvaga mumwe munhu kuti nhai makanika kana mota iri mukota tank zviya ingasvika kuchechere. Makanika vozoti hainosvika, vamapopa vanoti hainosvika, ndobva ndapinda mumota. I'm trying to say, don't rely on try to rely on yourself. Look at the situation and be able to interpret it with the faith which God gives you. So such that when God would do big things like to say, take your son and sacrifice your son, you will do it with a better understanding. Because you cannot be able to take Isaac. Wanga uchitadza tunhu tudiki. Tumwe tunhu tudiki unofanira uchitotugona through God. Then when God assigns big things, you can easily do that. So the idea of having faith inside you is very important. Ka faith ke kuti even mwana haasi kunzwa mushe mumba ka. Kokumbo faith kuti Mwari ndiri kuda kuti ndimuporese. Kwakutomunamatira kuti apore. You, but ukafila kuti handizvigoni, it means there is lack of faith. But faith does not show itself before things happen. Things have to look impossible for you to use faith. So if you look down on yourself to say, mind, ndikamunamatira anopora, patoleka faith. So I'm trying to say, in everything, you alone must have that kind of faith. Not looking at others. Don't try to rely on the faith of others, but your own faith. So that's what God is telling us. And he goes on to say, if you will not believe, this is the Amplified Version, if you will not believe and trust in God and his message, be assured that you will not be established. He's telling the king that you will not be established. So his reign would not be established unless utter faith, right? Proverbs 3:6 says, in all your ways, know and acknowledge and recognize. In all your ways, know, acknowledge, recognize God. Know God. Acknowledge God. Recognize God. And he will make your path straight and smooth. If you know him, if you recognize him, if you acknowledge him, he will make your path straight. That's Proverbs 3:6, the Amplified Version. Okay, then on verses 10 and 11, we see God persuading King Ahaz to believe. God is taking a step further, saying, later the Lord sent his message to King Ahaz. Ask the Lord your God for a sign of confirmation. So God is taking a step further. This king is very much afraid. He's full of fear. And he's not trusting me. But he's saying, ask the Lord your God for a sign of confirmation. Make it as difficult as you want, as high as heaven, or as deep as the place of the dead. So he's saying, okay, ask for a sign so that I prove to you. You remember what Gideon did? Gideon pied out, sort of doubting, and wanted God to confirm certain things. He says, I will put a fleece outside. Can you cause the fleece to be wet and the rest of the ground to be dry, so that I will know? And God did it. And he asked for another sign. Now in this case, it's not us. It's God himself saying to King Ahaz, ask for a sign. Ask for a sign. And believe. So God's persuasion in this case is saying believe and get a blessing. Usually, some of these things, God may not even come to you to persuade you. But this is a special situation where this king is persuaded to believe, which is God. It's an offer of grace. God is offering to give him the grace to say, okay, why don't you do this? verse 12. But the king refused. The king refused. No, he said, I will not test the Lord like that. Ha. Okay, let me throw it back to you. God is saying, okay, ask for a sign. And this man says, and test him, and test him. But God himself is saying, what do you think of this? What does it mean? What does it mean? And test him, kutesta mwarero. Kutesta mwarero. It's God himself. It's God himself. It's God himself. Okay, let's try to answer this question. What do we do if God invites us to test him? God says, test me. What do? Do we test God? Or we look at it the way King Ahaz did, to say, I will not test God. It will be testing God. Yes, Baba.
Yeah, you almost feel like this king, if it was coming from a place of, Lord, I already have faith and I believe in you, I will not test you because I believe your word, then it would be different. But we already know that this king already has trust in another king. So that's where, when he says, I will not test God, it sounds like a very, coming from a deep place, but it's really a lack of faith. It's because he believes that if he reaches out to that other king, that king may help him. So he doesn't actually believe in the Lord. So he doesn't even want to test the Lord.
Yeah. He doesn't. Because ane ne solution kudara. Because ane solution kudara. Arutoti mwari ava kumana vakutondinetsa. Because ane ne solution kudara. Arutoti kuna king of king kwandi ane kwaari kuende kwaruti achawana help. So, but if God invites you to test him, there's nothing wrong. Because God is trying to take you to another level. But there are times when we test the Lord. I remember there was a time in around 2016 or 2017, when things were so difficult for me. Ndapinda business rema books, publishing books, but there was a lot of photocopying. Hapana mabhuku ari kutengwa. Handina mari yefuel yokuendesa mwana kuchikoro, school fees yacho handina. Things were so ndikataza kuti mangwana mwana ndomuendesa nei, mumba hamuna chikafu zvachose kuita dry. Then I said, kana muri Mwari, kana muriko ndichitambura kudai, ndiri kuda 1,000 mangwana. I want $1,000 mangwana. If I don't get it, ndozoti hamusi Mwari. Ndatorevesa. Because ndatanamata, tadii, zvese zvaramba, ndikati kana marega hamusi Mwari. Shockingly mangwana acho. Tatisingambowani maorder. Mutare a certain bookshop fund. Zvikantoda mabhuku $500. Can you send them? Tikati deposit over deposit. Kumaskati Bulawayo, another bookshop fund. Zvikatoda mabhuku $500. Ndobva todeposita mari. Ndona ndatobata 1,000 iyaiyi. Takurumbidza Mwari paya. Saka pane imwe nguva yokuti you have to be strong. You have to be strong. If the word says something, then you have to task the Lord. Yenzi nemwe mufundisi ati Mwari garai apa. Problem yangu ndeyii. But you know, after that, do you know ndakazotodemba ndichiti konda ndabvunzirei 1,000 ndati 10,000. Ndati 10,000. Ndakudemba paya. As I was driving, zvese zvichiri kuitika saizvizvo, ndakaona pajero yanga iri on sale yakaiswa chiposta chakanzi 6,000. Munhu wacho amenoto yanga ane problem aida chop yakanzi 6,000. Yanga supposed kuva kuma above 10. Ndokubva ndanamata. ndikati Mwari munopa makatombondipa 1,000 saka ndiri kuda mota iyoyi. God said it is well. That's it. God said it is well. Ndobva zvatongopera zvakatodaro. Saka when you decide to testa pakuru. Usatesta padiki. Usaita because ndakangofila ndikati asikana 1,000 zveshuwa yakadona. Ne situation yangu 1,000 was a lot of money panguva iyoyo. But yakasvika time dzedu dzakwana. Are there any questions or contributions? But the most important thing that we are trying to say to ourselves is, faith is very key in every kind of situation. Faith from your heart, not faith from another person, from your heart. From your heart. Kuti, when you see the problem, do you believe God is going to solve the problem? Do you have that faith? Or you are just calling God because vanhu vanongoti kazvanetsa namata. Pane mutsauko. Kungonamata kokuti vakomana situation yatinayo kafamily ngatitongonamata nhasi. Kana kuti tiri kunamata because tiri kuda answer kuna Mwari anopindura. Pane mutsauko. Pane mutsauko. I believe mufundisi aiti akati Mwari zvamunetsa yakari testimony zvanetsa akati Mwari garai pacheya iyi. Maproblem angu ndi iyi ne iyi. Shoko renyu rutaura kuti munosolva maproblems. Solve problem yangu. Munhu ari kubelieve. And munhu anotomboita zve by force chaizvo. Because your faith is pushing you for God to do something to your situation because you believe He can do it. So, I mean, that kind of faith is required. Personal conviction. Believing it yourself to say, God can solve this. Any questions or comments? If there are no questions or comments, our time is up. Our time is up. Okay. Our time is up. So let's encourage one another. Let's encourage one another to do what is right. Thank you.